All right, students, because I am not able to get my camera angle the right way to show you this model, I am borrowing this model from another teacher, which we are using a birth and death token model to show what happens in populations over time. So you'll see her hands and you'll hear her voice. It's not mine. And I'll pause it to kind of point things out as to how you're going to use this and also still fill out your Google form. All right, let's watch.
All right, students, so for this activity, we are going to use the birth and death token model. Now, I know we're at home and we don't have everything, but it's actually pretty easy to set up ourselves. Today, we are going to look at how the births and deaths are always happening in a population, and how does the number of births and deaths in a population affect its size. So we're going to try 3 different missions in order to figure this out. But to get ourselves set up, we need a piece of paper with a circle on it that says population. Now, you need 14 small items of the same thing. I'm lucky that I have tokens, but not everybody might have these things. So, for example, you can use crumbled up pieces of paper or Post-it. You can use pistachios or another type of nut. I'm going to save this for later, making me hungry. Cranberries is another example, and I didn't want to open up these bag of beans, but dried beans would be perfect. You're going to start with 14 tokens inside the circle that you created on your sheet to
All right, so she's already getting into that first step that you should see in that screenshot of those directions on your Google form, but you might want to pause real quick to go set up your population model.
start the population off with 14 organisms. Every year, 1, 2, or 3 organisms must die, and 1 or 2 or 3 organisms must be born. How many is up to you. To make an organism die, you need to remove it and place it in a cup. To bring it back or to create some births, you will add it from the cup to your population circle. And you will count this as 1 birth. You need to repeat this until you have modeled 16 years. So every year that you do this activity, some population or some organisms in the population must die and some must be born. You can only make 1, 2, or 3 organisms die, so you can remove 3, or 2 or 1, or then you can add 1, 2, or 3 births as well. I know this is a lot of directions, but once I show you, hopefully it makes sense. At the end of 6 years, you need to total up the births and deaths and record it right here in the total column. Once you are done, you will answer these questions and move on to the last activity.
And where she's showing you that part, you just have one question that you need to answer. You should have already copied down the chart she was pointing to in your science notebook. If you don't know what I'm talking about, scroll back up to the top of this section.
Now, I printed this out for you to see, but obviously you are typing this in on your worksheet on the computer. So mission 1, make the population stay the same over time. So I can do what I want. I know that my goal is to make it stay the same in numbers. So I have 14. So for example, for year 1, I need to make births and deaths. So maybe I want to remove 2 and then add 1. So what did I do there? I made 2 deaths and 1 birth, which means I am now at 13. I started out with 14 organisms, but I'm now at 13. So maybe my next year I want to make 1 die and add 3 births. Remember, I can only manipulate 1 to 3 births or deaths at a time. Now, if I count in this population, I have 15 organisms. So I believe I made 1 die and 3 births. So that is an example, and I will keep going up till 6 years, and I will total it at the end. Remember, the goal is to say roughly the same over time. Now, once I'm done, I will start over, back to 14 organisms. And now I want the population to increase over time. So I'm thinking, okay, increase over time, maybe that means I need more births. So for my first year, I'm going to have 3 births and 1 death. So I had 3 births and 1 death. If I count all these up, let's see, I have 16 total. Now my next one, maybe I want 2 births and 1 death again. So now what I have is 2 births, 1 deaths. I am now at 17 total, and you can already see that my population is increasing. For your last mission, try to make the population decrease over time. Great job, students.
Okay, so at this point, you should feel like you've got a good count as to where to go next. You should already be copying this down in your notebook. You could even use her examples as your first few and then just keep going from there for each mission. You got this. If you are in the building, one more thing, I suggest that you use her example of those little post-it balls, because that way you can just throw them away and you're not worrying about COVID germs or anything yucky like that. All right, good luck.